Hey guys, this is a handyman's comparison between two soldering guns. Um, what do you get? What's the difference between a $30 soldering gun versus a $37 soldering gun? I'm going to compare the Weller standard 7200 75 watt soldering gun against the Weller 8200 series 140 to 100 watt soldering gun. Perhaps some of you guys are using a very old 1950s or 1960s era Weller soldering gun, received handed down from your father, which is my case. Thing was an antique, worked like a charm, had a couple of small incandescent bulbs in the front of it, and I used it for many years. Now here it is, 2018, and the soldering gun finally failed. Gosh, that's a bunch of years' use. So in order to replace it, I went out to Lowe's and Home Depot to see what they had as replacements, and I saw that there were basically two models available on the shelf. The black model that you see on the left and the red model that you see on the right, with a difference of several dollars. Thinking about the amount of time that I actually have need for a soldering gun, I chose the black one. I cheaped out. That turned out to be a mistake. I ended up going back and getting the red one. Let me tell you about the features of the two of them. The black model on the left is a 75 watt soldering gun. It's described as a lightweight model, useful for most handymen, and I think it cost me around $29 or $30. I brought the first one home. I used it for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped working. I thought it had some sort of a problem, so I took it back and exchanged it. I later did a little more detailed examination, and I found out that this thing has some sort of circuitry in it that if you run it for more than 1 minute at a time, it'll time out and essentially go into a cool down mode that lasts for 4 minutes at a time before it'll restart again. Now, what's that all about? Basically, it's made out of such cheap material, I guess they're afraid that it's going to, the case or something's going to melt. That's the only reason I could imagine for putting something like that kind of circuitry into a soldering gun. The bottom line, at the time I was trying to tin up some lightweight electrical wiring, improving a splice, and it was incapable of doing that. So my current project, actually, I'm installing a 230 volt line, and wanted to tin up some number 6 wire, which is really heavy gauge stuff. It was incapable of heating up the wire hot enough in order to do that before shutting itself off. So I went back out to Lowe's and bought the model that you see on the right, which is a 8200 model, again several dollars more, a real solid tool. It has a couple of LED lights to help illuminate things. It came with multiple tips and this dandy case that you see sitting on the right. The extra tips, it comes equipped with one for soldering, but it also has one if you're going to be cutting through a bunch of nylon line. It'll cut through that. And then they have one that's designed to smooth out plastic if there's a rough edge along it. Also had some solder, the Allen wrench to change out the tips, and of course this dandy case with it. I was able to tin up the ends of that 6 gauge wire the very first time that I used it. Seemed like a suitable replacement for that antique model that I had run with for so many years from my dad. The one on the left, this economy model, in my opinion, might be okay if you were only doing like really lightweight electronic stuff, in which case I've got a pencil tip soldering iron that I use for electronics. There really is no need. It seems like cheap import. Take a look at the label, the Weller label. It's off center. I thought, man, how lame. They couldn't even get their own product name on and a little spot designed for it. Well, I went out on Amazon to check the price of it before making this video, And it turns out even the one online has the label off center. So just a cheap import. Don't waste your money. Put up the extra $7 or $8 and get the model 8200 on the right. Just my opinion, guys, but hope it helps. Best of luck in your projects.